No question. And I had mentioned this before. Guys like Matt Ryan and that quarterback position is such an important leadership position, as we've talked about. And I've said this before, where Matt had incremental leadership ability about him. And people often ask, what does that mean? The simple fact is, you had a guy like Matt who had a really good awareness, right? You're like, come on, let's not psychoanalyze here. It's a big thing. You have a guy that comes in that's not thumping his chest thinking he's God's gift to everyone. And before you know it, he's not leading the team. He might, look, we've seen this in the past. We've seen quarterbacks that come in who are just complete studs with huge arms. And in the end, they can't lead worth a crap. And when you can't lead, not only can you not lead your offense, you obviously aren't leading your defense as a quarterback. Your team is destined for failure, to be honest with you.
And that's a good thing. So I've actually, it's funny because like that was a point you made 2 weeks ago, and I had a few people message me about it. Like, when you think about leadership, is that something where you're talking to other evaluators, you're talking to other leaders within teams, and like, because I know specifically, even in my world as an analyst, like I'll just text somebody like, hey, what do you think of this quarterback? And they just text back. They're like, look, his stats are great, but like he can't lead. Like, I've heard that a number of times. It's just like, and that's why, like, when you look at evaluating quarterback play, like wins and losses is not the best way to evaluate quarterback play, but there's some signal there, right? If you can't turn statistics into wins over a long period of time, it's hard for me to buy into you, because there is that thing, right? Like, there is that, and I had a quarterback in college who was, conference player of the year, right? Like, he's an amazing player. And you're like, you just knew as a tight end, I didn't have to do any leadership. I just had to be who I was, and I just had to do my job because the quarterback that was him, right? And you look at other offenses where, the running back's the leader or the wide receiver's the leader, and I just don't know if that's sustainable. And it's just tough, because how do you evaluate that? Is this just something where, you with your background, you're able to discern that from, your sources and just like watching him? Like, it's got to be a tough evaluation, isn't it?
It's a tough evaluation. I wish, and we've been talking about this in Sumer Sports, as you know, how much can we factor in any element of analytics to help us, evaluate and help us like sift through some of the questions that we have about some of these areas that aren't, easily quantifiable. When you talk about leadership, at least in my mind, I mean, having been around Tom Brady, that was helpful, of course. But I have often said it's easy for a quarterback to come in and have his running backs or his receivers, all around him and have his back, because all they do is they want the ball, right?
Yep.
It's when that quarterback eventually gets the entire team behind him, right? The defense. It's not easy to get those big studs along the D line or the linebackers behind the quarterback, right? If you're a quarterback that you can get the entire team behind you and the coaches and the organization, man, you have something special. And that takes a lot. And that takes in the end, for me, it takes an awareness about you. It takes an empathy about you. I'm not getting soft here, because I know.
Yeah, no, I mean,
you got to be able to be kicked in the nuts, to be honest with you, literally and figuratively, and get the hell back up and lead the team. And they need to follow you. And I think Matt Ryan, when you think about Matt Ryan, again, this is not about Matt Ryan, but it's my experience. Matt Ryan missed 1.5 games in his entire time with us, or at least as long as I was there for those 13 years. That's unbelievable.